Hello everyone, I am Caleb, aka Leb Resin, aka A-Line Gabubugas. I'm here at the graveyard, and I usually come out here and, pick up the flowers, tend to the graves and stuff. Kind of need to do that before I go, but before we get started, someone was recently deceased. Let's see, what's her name? Miss Sammy Lorraine Williams died November 3rd, at the age of 76. And I've been coming to this grave for quite a while. They got they lost their baby in 1962. So I come out here, I play my acoustic, hang out with the dead, just dying to see me. Bad joke, sorry. But before we get started, let's take a moment of silence for the recently deceased. I don't even know these people, and it hurts. Anyway, this is my meditation spot. I come out here and write songs. And yes, I know I was supposed to bring my guitar this time, but I didn't. It's too cold. I should have. I didn't. So, some cool things have been happening, since my last relapse. I gained this strength from somewhere, probably my twin. She's helping me along the way. It's amazing. Girl's a genius. But after that discussion we had that night, telepathically, of course, I haven't had the desire to use. I've been addicted to drugs my entire life. I started at 9, smoking pot, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I had a little voice in my head like 2 weeks ago saying that the rehab will be contacting me and I will be checking in on 11/11. I didn't think about it too much. I was like, that would be cool, So I let it go, which is a lesson, because normally when I don't let things go and I focus on it and try to play it out and, speculate and do all kind of fantasizing, it just doesn't work out. It just didn't work out. Well, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, let's get to a buddy of mine within the Oblivion. Thank you for requesting I do a video, because it's been some time. I guess I had to go through my last phase before I got back in touch. But the day after he asked me to shoot a video, I got a phone call. I think it was around 11 a.m. and the guy from rehab said, he asked me some questions. He's like, what have you been using, blah, blah, blah. I told him, I've been on meth for quite some time, and I gave up all the other drugs for meth, but I used to be addicted to pain pills and weed, and, I didn't go through the whole list. But anyway, I've been fighting this, and my twin has been guiding me through spirit, and, we would meet up and every now and then, and she would give me gifts and little things and told me to practice meditation, and I started doing it, and here I am. Like, I feel like the more I trust the intuition and just give it love, believe. Like I always said, if you believe it, you can achieve it. You conceive it, you believe it, you achieve it. You gotta put in the work though, trying to overcome procrastination. think we'll do that in therapy. But the dude called me and he said, well, good, he's like, I don't, he asked me what was going on. I was like, I haven't used it 4 weeks, and I really want to quit smoking cigarettes. It's the last demon I got. I have no desire to use, and I just want to get to the core problem, because there's a lot of other things, that I've been coming to terms with that could be my triggers, which leads me to do the things that I do that drove me and the wifey apart. But he said, well, cool, we're gonna get you in here, it's Monday, what's Monday? He's like 11/11 at 1 p.m. and I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. It's like, what? I was like, I knew this was gonna happen. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, I just had this little feeling tell me that I was gonna come in at 11/11. He's like, well, don't be late, and you don't have to bring any money, you got a grant. And I'm like, a grant? We agreed to pay, we're gonna do the slider fee from $3,000 to $1,500, but he's like, well, don't worry about it, you got a grant. And I'm like, I wonder where that came from. I don't know. I've been praying a lot that I'm kept on this straight and narrow path and clean, sober, which is really amazing. I've been having all this energy that I've never had. I got in touch with my inner child, and that's a bit intense. Mom don't know what to do. She's like, calm down. I'm like, I can't. So, cracking jokes. And luckily, her friend and her and my stepdad and all, we all have a bit of a morbid, sense of humor, so I can crack sexual jokes. And, my stepdad don't get all of them because I'm kind of crazy. The only other person that really gets me is my twin. I miss her so much. But anyway, I find that if you focus on things too much, even if you're feeding it love and, hoping for it, you start fantasizing, you start playing out scenarios on how it's going to go down and this and that sets you up for disappointment. Like, so many times, like, I've played out how I want to do things, and, even with my music, and how I want to write this song, and I force it to be something that it just isn't. But that's not to discourage you. It's to let you know that, you feed your desires and your wants, your manifestations, you feed them your love, but you got to let it go. You got to, not forget about it, per se, just keep it in your heart, but don't open the book and read the same words every day, if you know what I'm saying. Like, my dad said, I read some of that book all the time. He actually meant that, because he would read some of the book all the time. But he would reread the same words, and he never got to the ending. It's like starting the same movie every night and watching the beginning and falling asleep. Because you're not progressing, you're not letting it just be. Within the last year, I've learned so much. Like, my little brain can't even handle it. I got to clear out some memory banks, because, I've stuffed it with guitar and music my entire life. And then I met the best woman ever, and when them eyes lit up blue, I was like, that's when it all started. And we both went through our purging and clashed like titans and fought and loved, and then eventually it came to be that, we had to separate. But we're never separate. We're always together. But it's like, the more you focus on something, the more it becomes your reality, in a sense. But the more you, like within the Oblivion said, don't worry about the future, don't worry about the past, live in the now. You can plant your seed, but it's like if you go outside and you planted a tree and you touch that tree every day, eventually the tree's going to die from shock. You can give it your love, you can water it, but eventually you just got to let it grow. There's a story about a guy who grew a garden, and his neighbor was trying to grow a garden, And one guy planted his seeds and he tended to it every now and then, and he just let it grow. And the neighbor was out there every day trying to force it to grow. His garden was all dilapidated and didn't grow right. He noticed that his neighbor didn't even mess with it, but his garden was beautiful, green, pristine. He's like, man, how did you do it? He's like, well, I just let it grow. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like the wifey says, enjoy the moment. You know, if you're sitting here and, you know, I don't really hang out with too many people because I've had to cut them all out, but it's just a beautiful thing too. Got over the fear of being alone. But if you're like hanging out with friends and you're thinking about what you want to do tomorrow, and they're talking to you, you're not listening. You're not enjoying their company, and they'll catch on to that, and eventually it'll create friction and negative energies, and people will think you don't care and all this wonderful stuff. And you just gotta just go with the flow. It's like, I think salmon are the only ones that try to swim upstream and eventually they get eaten by a bear. Guess that's a sign too. But, you know, so saying, don't give up on your dreams. You know, I wouldn't recommend anybody go looking for hardship or tough decisions, but if you make the wrong decision, know that it's not really the wrong. It might be wrong in people's eyes, but it's going to open you up to so much more. And again, I'm not recommending you go looking for something to struggle with, but if you end up in a situation that seems like it's never going to end or you can't get through it, you just got to persevere. You know, all lion cubs eventually turn into lions. It takes real work. You know, sometimes procrastination is a good thing. You know, it'll open you up to a new idea, or it'll give you time to perfect the idea, which you don't want to perfect anything. You know, just give you time to improvise. But also, too much of anything is a bad thing. You know. So for the past few years, I've been fighting addiction and, you know, mental illness. But I've noticed since I've taken wifey's advice, and we're not married that I know of, but we're married. Since I've taken her advice and started meditation and been fighting to get clean for so very long, it's like, you know, she put the boots to me. She gave me that tough love, and it's all the part of the test, you know. Like, now it's to rebuild, you know. Like, what good am I to anyone if I can't make it through a stressful situation? I flip out and go looking for mind-numbing alternatives. Breath mints. But I don't know, since I've come out of my room after the withdrawals and all, I notice that, you know, I get my flashbacks, I get my memories of all the bad things and all the good things that used to hurt. And I just acknowledge it, let it go. If it gets too bad, I shut it off and move on to something else until it comes back and I'm ready. But I usually say, that was then, this is now. You know? So, stay positive. Love it. Every situation, even the bad ones. You can see the good in every bad situation. For the longest time, I didn't see the bad in the good in any situation. I just saw that I was being a screw up and nobody wanted to be around me, or I didn't want to be around myself. I didn't want to live in my own skin. I couldn't look in the mirror for the longest time. Now I can say, "You rock, Caleb. I love you," and I do. I really do. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my best friend for sticking it to me and ripping me open and making me face all my fears. And, you know, even though it created a lot of between us, there's more love. You know, the love will never die. Love always prevails, always. And I told her this from the beginning. She didn't believe in love because of the struggle. But eventually, all your manifestations will come to fruition. Behold, the glorious greenery of life. See? I don't know if this video is going to post. It's over 15 minutes. I'll shoot another one. Be back in a minute.